So I have a VPC. I'm going to create one NACL, create network access control list. Which VPC is the name of my custom NACL. I'm naming it as my custom NACL. Which VPC? So this VPC. So my VPC. This my VPC has already one default NACL. I'm creating one more NACL for this. So one NACL can have multiple VPCs. One VPC can have multiple NACL.
Yes.
Yes, right. Just now we created. So see this. Did I created that? Only two it is showing. We successfully created ACL network. Yes. Where is that? One out of two. In which did I create it in any other region? Just now I created, right? This appeared. My custom NACL. Which VPC? This VPC. Okay, so it appeared late here. Okay, let me delete one. Let me delete one. Okay, so this is my NACL I created. So there is a VPC called my VPC. It has two NACLs. So one VPC can have multiple NACLs. That is what we are learning today. All right. So in that, if I see the default NACL, inbound rules, all traffic is allowed here. So 100 all traffic is allowed. If I see the outbound rules also in the default NACL, all traffic is allowed. But the custom NACL, whatever I created, right? If I see here, it has everything, all traffic denied in the inbound rules, outbound rules also all traffic denied. It has no subnets associated. You don't have any subnets associated. If I see the default NACL, all subnets are associated to this only. 4 subnets are there, 4 associated to this. Now what I want to do is, I want to add some subnets to my custom NACL. So 4 subnets are there. 4 belongs to the default VPC. So default NACL. How you know what is default NACL? See this, default S is there, right? Default S. So route table, main equal to S means default route table. Here default equal to S means default NACL. Understood, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is for this VPC, 2 NACLs are there. This is the default one. If you don't associate any subnet to any NACL, it will use the default NACL. So now I have a custom NACL. I want to associate some subnet association. I'll go here, edit subnet association. Total how many are there here? Private and public. Two are there, right? Private 2, public 2. I'll select private 2, right? Private 1, private 2. I'm associating to this my NACL. So I selected those, save changes. Now this my custom NACL has how many subnets associated?
2 subnets.
2. So on that 4, 2 has been associated to custom NACL. So how many subnets are remaining now?
2.
So those will be belongs to this default subnet, default NACL. So those 2 subnets, the remaining subnets by default. If a subnet which is not associated to any NACL, by default that will use default NACL. Understood, guys? This is associated to this. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is how we can have. Now, if you go to the inbound rules, right? So this is default one, right? Let me go to custom NACL, inbound rules. All traffic is denied. So is anyone can connect to this instance? Anyone can connect to this because NACL is not allowing. So you have to allow in NACL, then we have to allow in security groups. Okay. So what I'll do is forget about this. So you understood it, right? So in real time, if you want to make a connection to this, you need to add the connection. So if the instances are private, right? If the instances are private subnet, right? So you don't want inbound rules, but at least you need outbound rules. So whatever the protocol, if you want to download something, install something, right? At least allow SSH22 port number here. Because if you use NAT, the instances which are on private subnet instances need one-way communication at least, not from outside to inside, but inside to outside we need, right? So NAT gateway we created. So if you created a NAT gateway, so it's better don't use default NACL, because default NACL we use for public subnets. There we need to allow so many port numbers. As we are having a private subnet, right? We create a separate NACL for this, right? Don't allow inbound rules, but in the outbound rules, whatever you want, add rule, SSH22 port allow, like that you can give. Understood, guys? Yes or no? Like this, you save the changes, SSH22 port. And you need only outbound rules, right? From outside world, no one has to access, but you have to access outside world. So you want to install something. So SSH22 is required. So you allow it in the inbound. So better practices for private and public subnets, create different NACLs. So they'll ask you, I want to create a private and subnets. What is the better approaches? You tell me. So we'll create a NACL. We create a VPC, attach a network group, internet gateway for that, then divide it into subnets. Private subnets, we create a separate route table. Public subnets, we create a separate route table. For public subnets route table, we attach it to internet gateway. For private subnet, we don't attach it to internet gateway. Then create security groups, whatever we require with different rules. Create NACL, separate for public and private subnet. Like this, you have to explain. Understood, guys? Better practices. Clear? Yes or no?
Yes,
okay.
Yes,
so now
sir.
what I'll do is, so this is for private, right? So public subnets are using default NACL where all traffic is allowed for inbound and outbound. Now I'll go to EC2. I'll go to my EC2 service. I'll launch an EC2 instance. So I'll launch one EC2 instance. I'm going to launch one instance, this instance. Okay, T2 micro. Now see these options. I want to launch one instance. Which VPC? My VPC. In this VPC, 4 subnets are there. Private 1 to public 1 to. So I want to create a public one. Okay. So now this option is there. Auto assign public IP. As I am creating this EC2 instance in public 1, right, which is a public subnet, which is associated to public route table and internet gateways, right? It will by default. What is the option here? Use subnet settings. Use subnet settings. The public one is a public subnet, right? Yes or no?
Yes, bro.
Do I need to have a public IP address for that? For that instance, do you need to have a public IP address?
No need.
Huh?
Yes, bro. Public.
Yes, we need. No need. So we are creating this instance in a public subnet. We are creating in a public subnet. Means public access is required for that. If you don't want public access, while creating public subnet, we'll create in private subnet. So we are creating in a public subnet. So we are giving whether this instance need to get a public IP address or not. We are giving, there are 3 options. Enable means always whether it is the instance is creating in a public subnet or private subnet, always it will get public IP. If you disable, whether it is a public subnet or private subnet, wherever we are creating the instance, it will not get public IP address. If you use subnet settings. If you are creating the instance in a public subnet, it will get public IP address. If you are creating in the instance in a private subnet, it will not get private IP address. Public IP address. Okay. If you use this option, use subnet settings, right? If you are creating your instance, on a public subnet, it will assign a public IP for your instance. If you are creating your instance on a private subnet, it will not assign public IP address for your instance. Why we need? If you assign a public IP address to an instance which is on private subnet, does this make any sense? You have an instance on private subnet. It has a public IP address. Does that make sense? No, why? Because the instance which is on private subnet, you cannot make outside communication. So having a public IP address is useless there. Understood, guys? Okay. And Shravan, you didn't change anything, right? Yesterday, how it was there, you left as it is, I guess, right? Subnets, my VPC, subnets, public subnet, private subnet, right? Route tables. Let me check. Okay, public RT routes. Let me check here. Okay, internet gateway is associated. Okay, fine. Okay, so I'm using this host name. If you want a DNS name or IP addressing, use subnet settings. You leave it. Okay. This I'll explain once again. Placement groups, these and all, capacity reservation. Okay. So I'm leaving this. Next, add storage default. So security group, I'm giving default security group, right? All traffic is allowed. Next, launch. Launch instance. I'm launching my instance. Now security group is default security group where all traffic is allowed. And I launched it on public subnet, so which is pointing to default NACL, where in that NACL all traffic is allowed. In that NACL all traffic is allowed. So if I try to connect to this using SSH22, will it work? Will it connect to that instance?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it has to, right? So let me do that. Download, open this. Okay. Okay. It's not getting connected. So first, how to debug? So this instance has been created in a, this instance I have created. Okay, it is initializing. So let's wait for some time. Initializing, let's wait. So, but if you want to check, how we have to check is, first, what this instance belongs to, which VPC? Okay, that my VPC. Okay, we created on my VPC. So it has a security group. First NACL we have to check, but let's see in security group also. Security group. Okay, edit inbound rules. If I click on, it is showing here any. Oh, okay, this is a mistake here. Why it came it like this? I'll tell later. First, anywhere. So security group is blocking. So anywhere I have to allow. Okay, let me delete and say why that security group. I'll tell later. So anywhere, add rule. All traffic SSH22 I can give, but let me give all traffic anywhere. Save this. Okay. So security group is also allowing. NACL also all traffic is allowed. Let's see if we'll check connect or not. Okay. Security group issue we solved. Okay. Security group issue we solved. Now let's go to NACL. Okay. We know we have launched that instance on a public subnet. Okay. Public subnet is using this NACL. What are the inbound rules for this? Okay. 100 all traffic anywhere allow is there. Okay, let's save the changes. Nothing to change, but still it is not connecting. Why? Okay, NACL not an issue. All traffic allow. Okay, cancel. Okay, next security group also we checked. I think I used default security group only, right? So here also all traffic is allowed here. Wait. Security group. This is a security group I used for my instance. Let me check. Instances. This instance, this is a security group I'm using. Okay. Here only I changed, I guess, right? All traffic anywhere. Okay. Okay. Everything is correct. So I was saying that optional firewalls. This is the firewalls option that if you want to use. Okay. Still it is not connecting. Okay, let me do one thing. I'll change the security group of the instance. Instances. Actions, just instance security. Change the security group. Then select the security group. SG33B, right? Let me change this. Okay. 33B security group. Let me try this. It is in which subnet? First subnet. Okay. Security group. Let me see here. Such alright. So many rules. Okay. Traffic, let me alone. Okay. All traffic was there. Okay, let me try to connect to this. Oh, let me check the connect command once. Ha. My madness. We did a lot many things, but I didn't see this. See, it didn't get public IP address. See this 120, this 1210, right? This is using private IP address. So we cannot connect from private IP address from outside world to this instance using private IP address. It failed. Okay. So now, as this is subnet settings we gave, actually it has to create a public IP, but it haven't created. Means some issue in the VPC. So let's go here. Route tables. Route tables. So public route table. Subnets associations. It has two. Public one, public two. Public 1, 2. Correct. Okay. It has. So routes. Internet gateway you attached. Okay. Correct. Is this internet gateway available? Yes, it is there. Then what's the problem? Why it didn't assign a public IP address for that? Right? Everything is correct. Subnets, internet gateway is there. Route table is allowing. Then why? Okay, let me.
Somewhere we have denied inbound rules.
In NACL? I don't think so. We used for public. So these are the two subnets. Okay, this has subnets associations. It has private. Okay, so it is using default NACL for the public ones. Okay, inbound rules is all traffic allow. Allow is there. Subnets associated is public one, public two. Yeah, it is there. Is correct. So let me terminate this instance and create one more. Launch instance. Anyways, we can assign elastic IP, but let's see this once again. So I selected my VPC, public one, subnet settings, it is saying is disabled. You observe here guys, 259. So 249 it is showing. So Why total 255 should be available in the subnet? If for each subnet, 5 IP addresses will be used internally. So already one instance is running with one IP address. Just now I terminated, right? So it is showing only 249 IP address available. So if I create this instance, it will get one private IP address, 248 will be available. Okay. So this enable, that is okay. But why it is showing disable here? Use subnet settings. So if I use public to, so here itself it is saying it will not get a public IP address. Private, here also it is showing like that. Public one. So let me assign anyways. Why so? It is not getting. Okay. Somewhere we miss something. NACL table. Is it instances? So NACL is there. Perfect. It is. Okay. Okay. Here it is. Next. Subnets. So this is a public route table. It has local internet gateway connection, correct? Subnets associated are public one, public two. There only I launched my instance. Right? Correct. So this private has okay, let's see. So this is a public IP address of that instance. Now it is connecting. It's connecting, but automatically it has to assign the public IP. The connection is okay, correct? But it has to automatically assign the public IP, but it is not assigning based on subnet. Okay, so we'll see that. So I created an instance. I created an EC2 instance on my public subnet, where security group is allowing, NACL is also allowing the rules. Understood, guys? Why it is not automatically getting a public IP? That even I don't have any clue on that. We'll figure out later. But for now, tell me the subnets are using this NACL, default NACL. Yes or no? Where all traffic is allowed. Yes or no, guys?
Yes.
So now using SSH 22 port number only, I connected to this. See SSH. So SSH is the protocol and the default port number for this is 22. So that is how I'm connecting to my instance. That is how I connected. Yes or no? So now what I'll do is I'll go to my NACL inbound rules. I'll exit. I'll exit here. I'll do one thing here. Edit inbound rules. I'll add one rule here. All traffic is allowed. I'll add one more rule. 99 SSH 22, right? Anywhere deny I'm going to give. Save the changes. You observe this. It is 100 is allowing, 99 is denying. So now if I try to connect to my instance with SSH 22, will it allow or not?
It will not allow.
So with this rule, 99 SSH deny, 100 allow. It will allow or deny?
It will not allow, sir. Deny.
It will not allow. See this, it is not allowing. Okay, it will not allow. Okay, fine. Now I'll add one more rule. 101 SSH allow. This is allow. Now if we save this, will it allow? The SSH 22 connection, will it allow? It failed here. Now if I try it again, will it allow?
No.
No, why?
In 99,
99 itself we are
itself.
blocking. Now if I remove this and if I give like this, now if I give
will allow.
deny here, if now
Will allow.
it will allow. Why?
It will allow
100
100.
itself is allowing. Okay. Understood, guys? Now what I'll do is
Yes, sir.
all traffic deny. Here. Now will it allow?
No.
Why?
In
100
100,
all
is not
traffic
allowed.
is denied.
100 is deny. 100 is deny all traffic. SSH is part of that all traffic, so it will deny. So let me do this. So 101 you are allowing, but in 100 itself you are denying, so it will not allow. Okay. See this? It is not allowing. Now what I'll do is,
Sir,
yeah, yes.
sir, this comparison is applicable for different NACLs also,
Yes,
or within
any
one
NACL,
NACL.
all NACLs, whatever. See, this NACL has how many subnets? This is default NACL. How many subnets are there part of this?
Two.
Two public subnets. So this rule will be applied for what instances? The instances which are on those two public subnets. This NACL has two subnets. These rules will be applied to this two subnets. So there are other two subnets which is associated to other NACL. The other NACL rules will be applied to that other private subnets. Understood? Yes or
So
no?
my point is like one subnet is having multiple NACLs. So
Mhm.
that time also it will.
It's not possible. Did I say that one subnet can be
That's
part
what
of
my
multiple
doubt.
subnet? Did I said one subnet can be part of two NACLs? Did I said one NACL can have multiple subnets? One NACL can have multiple subnet, but one subnet can have only one NACL. Understood?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is my NACL. NACL subnets. One NACL can have multiple subnets, but one subnet can have only one NACL. It cannot connect to one more NACL. This is incorrect. Understood?
Yes, sir.
See here. So this rule is allowed, right? Now I'll change the rules here. So 10, right? All traffic. You already have seen it, right? So let me keep it as allow. Delete this. Save the changes. Now it will allow. Okay. Now if I try to connect. So now if I'm allowing something in NACL but not allowing in security group, SSH 22 allowed in NACL but not allowed in security group, will it connect? Yes or no? I allowed HTTP SSH 22 in NACL but not allowed in security group of that instance. Then it will connect. Will it connect?
No, sir. No, bro.
No. Okay. So this is the rules. Now see here. This NACL has two subnets. It is public and public 2. Now I want to attach the same to the one more NACL. If I go here, right, edit subnetting rules. See, if I select this public 1, public 2, I'm selecting both here. So both I want to have part of this NACL. Now, is there, see, all 4, the custom NACL got all 4. So this NACL automatically got deleted, those 2. Earlier 2 and 2 there. I assigned that 2 to this. So the 2 has gone here. Understood?
Yes, sir.
So I'll do that vice versa. For this, I'll go. I'll select 4. Now the other NACL has lost 4. All came here. So one subnet can have only one NACL. One NACL can have multiple subnet, but one subnet can be part of one NACL at a time. If you want to use it to other one, first you need to reattach to this. So it will disconnect from this NACL and connect to the other NACL. Understood? Okay, that is about that. Okay, NACL I explained. So this NAT and all I explained, right? ENI I'll explain. The last two concepts, VPC peering. VPC peering. So what is this VPC peering? Okay, will not do in general regularly, but one important topic to do. So this is assignment, guys. Summary with example VPC subnet internet gateway. So I'm saying to create a VPC. So you create subnets like this with this range, 4 subnet, 2 public and 2 private. Just example, right? You need to implement this. One VPC with 4 subnet you have to do. For that, these are the steps. These are the steps. Create one route table. So associate with this like this. I have given the steps. You try to do this in assignment, right? You take this like assignment and do it. Okay, fine. Now let me continue with the VPC pairing. VPC pairing. What is VPC pairing? Right? Joining two VPCs is called as VPC pairing. Joining two VPCs is called as VPC pairing. I have a VPC. Okay, I have one more VPC. Okay. VPC 1, it is VPC 2. VPC 2. 2 VPCs I have. So this, for example, this belongs to here. For example, you are working for ABC company. I'm working for XYZ company. Yours is ABC company, mine is XYZ company. Now, my company has acquired your company. We purchased your company. Okay. So we have seen, right? So many MNC companies buying small companies like that, right? So this is XYZ company. This XYZ company has purchased. Okay, this has purchased this ABC company. Oh my God. Okay, let me write it. All right. So this is XYZ company, VPC. What is ABC? ABC. So you have your AWS VPC in your AWS account. I have my VPC in your AWS account. So you have some applications, some EC2 instances here. I have EC2 instances here. As we purchased your company, now for me it is very difficult to maintain 2 AWS VPCs. Same, your projects are my projects now, but both projects I want to maintain, right, in 2 different VPCs. It is getting difficult for me. Then what I thought to decide is, array, it is very difficult for me. If I want to do this, right, if I want to get into mine, right, I have to create one more VPC, right, get the EC2 instances with the same configurations, I have to recreate. It is very difficult for me. So what I thought is, let me do VPC peering. VPC peering means like connecting 2 VPCs is nothing but VPC peering. I created a gate. There are 2 VPCs. There are 2 VPCs. I'm not deleting one, right? Just merged these 2. So the instances on this VPC, the instances on this VPC, and the instance on this VPC can talk to each other directly with the private IP addresses. It has 10 dot, right? 3.4.0/ some number, right? This series it has, right? It has this series. Okay. Okay, it has this series it has, for example. So there is an instance which is 172.3.4.0, right? Can talk to the instance which is on other with other VPC. 10.3.4.0 instance can talk to each other with the private IP address. They looks like a single VPC now. 2 VPCs we merged as single VPC. Understood, guys? 2 VPCs merged as single VPC. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So 2 VPCs merged as single VPC. What is this concept called as?
VPC Peering.
VPC Peering we call as VPC Peering. But if you want to do this VPC Peering, there are few rules you have to follow. What are that rules? There are some conditions, else you cannot do that VPC Peering. Right? So if two VPCs of same region, so they want to be in the same region. I cannot, this is in Mumbai region, this is in North Virginia region. I cannot do VPC peering. I cannot do VPC peering. If you want to do VPC peering, both the VPCs should be in the same region. Understood? That is a main rule. One rule. There is one more rule. Okay. This is one of the main rule. All are main here for VPCs. This is one rule. Both the VPCs, if you want to do